It's Wednesday, February 26th, 2025, and it's about 4:15 in the afternoon, and put 25 more pounds of minerals out for the cattle. I rolled out another bale of hay. I wanted to keep them here until Friday afternoon. Yeah, I wanted to keep them a little longer. There's a little bit of hay left, but not enough to last until Friday, so I'll roll it out early. And then I fed them 25 pounds of the protein supplement, the cottonseed meal with some minerals in there. So, and I got Patches back in too. So Patches is back where she belongs. You can see Patches right there, behind Blue. So I wanted to talk about Alan Westerfield put out a video, I think yesterday or the day before. I think he was talking to me. Even if he wasn't, he was talking to people like me. So I just wanted to thank him for being honest and sincere and speaking his mind. I know that there's some things that farmers won't talk about, some things that new farmers need to know, right? And hopefully I've learned most of those lessons so far, but I'm sure there's plenty more that I've yet to learn. So anytime somebody who's done this for a while speaks clearly and honestly, it's well appreciated, right? At the very least, it causes me to question whether I'm on the right path. And if I consider that I am on the right path, it gives me an alternative in case things don't work out, right? So the topic was sheep health. And there's a variety of styles of people, the way they approach sheep health. And I'm at one extreme. And I don't know, I think Greg Judy is near here. I don't think he's as extreme as me because he likes vaccines, I don't. So I'm probably more extreme than Greg Judy. And I understand that. I'm going out on a limb. I'm risking my sheep. I'm risking my money and my time and my effort. Anybody else that puts their money where their mouth is and actually does the work, they deserve to have an opinion on this, right? And people who don't do the work or who are just thinking about it, you really don't have the right to complain when things go differently than you'd like it to happen, right? So that's just the reality of it, right? He brought up a good point about the animal rights activists, that they might see some of the practices I'm doing in particular and tell me I'm doing it wrong and come out here and try to force me by legislation to do things a different way, right? And for the most part, my opinion on that is they can go pound sand. I don't think animal rights activists have any part on a farm. If they cared about the welfare of animals, they can spend all day taking care of animals on their own. And there are people who do that, who do care about animals, and they do spend their day taking care of animals. And my hat's off to them. I celebrate what they're doing. And we could certainly use more people like them, okay? I'd like to think that I care about animals, but, you can't see inside my heart and my mind. You can only see what I'm doing and hear the words that I'm saying and draw your own conclusions, right? But sincerely, I believe I'm doing what's best for the animals, right? I literally believe that this is the best course of action. If there was a better course of action, I would do it, okay? Does that make sense? Okay, now let's talk about my course of action and the decisions I made, okay? I've been thinking about this for days. His remarks in particular, but the general idea for a long time, for years, okay? So the question is doctoring your animals, right? You don't doctor healthy animals, right? I think we all agree on that. You should not be feeding healthy animals deworming medication, or you shouldn't be supplementing their feed or anything like that, right? If they're healthy, leave them alone, right? Let them do their thing. It's when animals get sick, okay? Now, there's a choice that you have to make when an animal gets sick. The choice is, am I going to do anything at all or just let things continue, right? And if you choose to let things continue, then obviously the animal could die, or the animal could recover and be perfectly healthy and fine afterwards, right? And so some people think that the choice is between treating the animal and letting the animal die. Okay, that's not the dichotomy. Because even if I were to treat the animal, if I were to helicopter the animal quickly to a veterinarian and pay top dollar to get the best medicine and do whatever the veterinarian can do, the animals are still going to die. Okay? There may be some animals' lives who could be saved if I doctor them, who otherwise wouldn't be saved. So that's what we're talking about. We're talking about the small number of animals that when they get sick, and if I didn't treat them, they would die, but if I did treat them, they would recover. Okay? I don't know how many animals that is, but on my farm, it's certainly less than 10. It's probably closer to 2. Okay? So there might have been 2 cases of animals that I could have doctored and I could have saved their lives. There might have been. Okay? I don't know. Okay? I don't think anybody knows. You're certainly able to try your own methods with your own sheep and do whatever you want. And if you think that your approach to doctoring the animals is better than mine, I'm telling you to go do it. Okay? I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm certainly not telling you to take my advice, okay, because I am not an expert. And one of the things that Alan Westerfield said that I disagree with is he said, if you don't know what you're doing, you shouldn't be doing it, right? I disagree with that. Otherwise, nobody would learn, right? And technically, nobody knows what they're doing, right? There's some sheep that are out. The dogs are near the sheep. So I'm just going to watch how the dogs interact with the sheep, see if they do any chasing or wrestling. So far, they're doing a whole lot of leaving them alone. Let me zoom in so you can see what I'm talking about. Well, that was it. The dog went up, sniffed the sheep moved away, the dog followed, and the dog left. You see that? The dog's more scared of the sheep than the sheep are scared of the dog. Anyway, okay. So with that in mind, okay, we're talking about a few animals out of hundreds. Okay, so my approach to medicine is almost universally, I'm going to keep my hands off. I don't really see a role that I have on my farm for medicine or treatment. I thought about setting aside a part of my field for sick animals, setting up a pen, maybe feeding them different medicines, dewormers, all that kind of stuff. Okay, and then I started studying like dewormers, and one of the issues with the dewormers is if your sheep's showing signs of anemia, you don't know if that's due to worms. Probably it's due to worms. There's a good chance it's due to worms, but it could be due to any number of things, okay? And another problem is sometimes the sheep have worms and you treat the worms and then they die because of shock or whatever. I don't really exactly know what it is that they're dying of, but it's a well-known fact that if you take a wormy sheep and you treat it, sometimes they die, okay? So the dewormers do not necessarily save the lives of the sheep, okay? What I was thinking, if I were to doctor the sheep, I'd set aside a part of the field, I'd separate the sheep from the rest of the sheep, the sick sheep from the healthy sheep. I would move it to that part of the field. By the way, the separation step is a lot of stress for the sheep. They don't like to be handled. They don't like me to be near them. They don't want to be pinned up. They don't want to be chased, right? They certainly don't like being caught. And it's well known that sheep do get heart attacks and they do die from just stress. So just putting them under stress is not a good thing, right? So I have to stress the sheep, grab the sick one. I stress 99 sheep just because one of them's sick. I take that sick sheep, I put it separate from the rest of the flock. Now, sheep don't like to be separate. They like to be with they're most comfortable when they're surrounded by other sheep. They have a herding instinct. That's the kind of animal they are, right? And so I separate that sheep. Maybe there's other sick sheep, 2 or 3 sick sheep together, okay? Then I have to diagnose what to do with the sheep. And I've just decided that I'm just going to feed them, let's say extra feed with, maybe I put some diatomaceous earth in there. Maybe I do all kinds of things like that. Like some treatment protocol that I know is pretty safe for the sheep. Maybe I collect stool samples and take them to the vet. And when I'm, absolutely certain that the symptoms that I'm seeing from the sheep are in fact worms, then I use dewormer or something like that, right? So that's a whole another ball of wax, okay? So I treat the sheep, and the sheep recovers. Maybe the sheep dies anyway, right? Because I'm not a very good doctor, right? I'll never be a very good doctor. Hey, how you guys doing? The sheep dies, or the sheep lives. If the sheep lives, he's not going back in the flock. The sheep is going to be sold at the market, right? Now, if they're a lamb, then I can probably sell them for meat and get some money. But if they're not, then they're probably worthless. And I probably should nick the ear to indicate to other sheep farmers that this sheep was sick, right? It's not a good sheep, right? How much is that sheep worth? I would never buy a sheep like that. I don't know who would, right? And if somebody came to me who doesn't know sheep and they said, can I buy a sheep from you? And I said, well, here's a sick one. And I gave it to them, I'd feel really terrible about that. I don't want anybody getting that sheep. So what do I do with the sheep that was sick that is now cured? Sell it? Sell it to who? Who wants a sick sheep? You can't breed it. You can't feed it, right? It's no good, right? And so the truth is this: if a sheep gets seriously sick on my pasture, okay, it has to be cold. And I'm not taking it to market. Okay? Does that make sense now? Why I follow this protocol? If the sheep gets sick and it recovers, that's fine. If it doesn't recover, it's dead. And that's got to be the way it is, right? Because the sheep has to be cold, even if it recovers after treatment, right? Now, if it recovers naturally, right? So if they get a little cough, or they get a little anemic, or they get the scours, or they lose a lot of weight, and then they recover, that's a keeper, right? Maybe one day, you know, when I'm going through it, I'm saying I need to cull 5% of the sheep, and I've only culled 2%, then I would say, well, take the ones that were sick once and get rid of them, you know, sell them for meat or whatever, you know. But, you know, the point is that there's just nothing I can really do with sick sheep, right? Especially given the numbers that I want to run them at, right? And I was thinking about this, that if I have like 300, 500, you know, let's say I buy a little more land and I have 1,000 sheep, right? And 1% at any given moment, 1% of the sheep are under the weather, right? Well, that's 10 sheep that I'm doctoring. I don't have time to do anything else but doctor them, right? And that's just not going to work. You know, it doesn't really bring any profit to me. It doesn't really make my farm better, right? If anything, it makes it worse, right? By treating the sick sheep. That's my conclusion, right? Now, I know animal rights activists are all upset about this. Here's my compromise. If you're someone that thinks that you can do better with my sick sheep than I can, this is an open invitation. I will give you $20 to take my sick sheep from me, okay? You can do with that sick sheep whatever you want. You can turn them into dog food, okay? I'll give you 20 bucks, okay? So you drive out here to the farm, and if I have the sheep caught, I may not have the sheep caught, but you know, when I catch the sheep, I'll take the ones that are sick and I'll set them aside, and you can come by and pick them up, and I'll give you $20 to take the sheep, right? So if you're interested in taking my sick sheep, I don't know what you do with them, let me know. I'll give you 20 bucks. Right now there is only one sick sheep. I think that's ewe number 11. Let's see if I can find her. All the rest have recovered. I'll show you what she looks like. She's just a little bit skinny. Where did they all go? Oh, she's probably down there at the fence line. Nope, she's not there. This one's a little bit skinny, but she's been nursing 2 lambs, I believe. So she's allowed to be skinny. Okay. They're supposed to be getting fat now. They're supposed to be putting on weight. Let me go down there and check out if that's the sheep. I'm worried that I'm going to go down there. The dogs are going to get excited and start chasing sheep. All right, dogs, stay back, please. Yeah, that's number 11. Let me show you her. She's probably getting better. From this distance, she looks like she's gotten a lot better. At one point, she was laying down and she let me touch her, which is a bad sign. Oh, she has more flesh than she did last time. Yeah. The best medicine that I can possibly give to these sheep is good, clean pasture, constant rotations, clean water, and plenty of sunshine. Yeah, that's U11. She has a little bit of swelling under her jaw. That's a really bad sign. But she has put on some weight. And those are the 2 lambs that she gave birth to this year. So she did give me twins. I don't know what relation those 2 guys are to her. Maybe last year's lambs. You know? Yeah, she has a little bit of swollen mass under her jaw. So anyway, there are a number of diseases that can cause that. I don't know which one it is. I can just, throw medicine at her and see what happens. Make her sick by giving the wrong medicine, or even make her sick by giving her the right medicine. It's nothing certain, So, and I'm not going to stress her by chasing her. So that's not what I want to do. Is I don't want to stress the sheep. I'm going to stop that. Okay. Hopefully this video makes sense. I am an amateur. One day I'll be professional. I think I'm making money. I don't know. Probably I am, because I'm not buying all kinds of stuff. But that's the story. Now, I will mention this. The sheep that have been getting sick and dying are not the sheep that I bought from Austin. Lampasas is where I bought them. The Lampasas sheep have been fine. One of them died. I don't know why. But the rest of it's just trucking along, doing really well. The sheep that are getting sick and dying are sheep that were rejected by a sheep broker. So he came by to my neighbor's house and he looked at all the sheep and he left the ones that are no good behind, the ones that can't be sold. I bought them for dirt cheap, right? And I bought them understanding that they're probably not going to live very long, okay? Especially because I don't plan on doctoring them, right? I bought them because it would give me some practical experience with herding larger numbers of sheep, and I'd get to see what sick sheep look like, because the St. Croix I had until that point, they were perfectly healthy. One of the rams died in a winter storm. I don't know why. Granny died recently, but she was old. She was old as dirt. I was expecting her to die any moment, But the St. Croix done just fine. You know what I'm saying? So that's the story. Yes, part of farming is watching animals die. And sometimes you doctor them, sometimes you can't. Right? And in this case, I just can't. It just doesn't make any sense to do so. Especially because if the animal does recover, then I got to make a trip to the sale barn, right? And if I'm an honest farmer, I'll mark the sheep as being sick. So nobody buys that animal thinking they're getting a healthy animal. Maybe a meat processor buys the animal because they're just going to harvest it, But even then, do I want sick sheep getting into the sheep supply? No. So anyway, guys, that's my philosophy. Have a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.